Part of being an activist is you just hear something and your gut just goes, no, no, not on, not happening, no. And from that, you're driven forward to do something. So most of the political actions that I've been involved with before politics and now are driven by that kind of, no, not happening in my world, not happening in my city. And I start to work on the issues in whatever way I know how.
Murray Billett has a saying, discrimination hinders coming out. And that's certainly true. Nobody wants to get bashed or kicked out of their apartment or so on. But coming out hinders discrimination. The more people who come out, and especially people who are really respected, and now sports figures and so on, that really reduces the ability to discriminate. Because you say, oh, well, they're just like me, or some of them are even better than I am, and so I shouldn't be discriminating against people on the basis of some inbuilt characteristic. I may not like everything that people do, but you have to respect who they are.
As a business owner, I probably supported many activists, especially Murray Billett, and occasionally maybe that was through a fundraiser or something like that. The Delwyn Vriend case. You know what, I think they really put the spotlight on the gay community, and some may think it was a negative spotlight, some may think it's a positive spotlight, but I think it was definitely a huge step within our growth.
It was a powerful moment of acknowledgement, right? That you can't just set us aside anymore because we're not going to take it. So many times people would get discriminated against. It was just easier to let it go, right? And here was this one person who said no, and the whole community rallied around that no, and collectively became aware that they could say no, and that would make a difference.
I've watched this town kind of wake up and stretch and realize that if we work together, we can get some stuff done. And then we watched the Delwyn Vriend case as we moved through the court systems. And what that case did was change the face of Alberta, because that case put the conversations onto the farm fields, into the lunchrooms, into the warehouses, where Albertans had to talk about it. This guy got fired for being gay. And in reality, if people would really look at their families, I always joke that if you shake any family tree hard enough, the fruit will fall out of it. There are a lot of gay people in our world and in most every family out there. And I think that's what really started to change the opinion.
Bill 44 was the government of Alberta finally implementing what the Supreme Court had ordered them to do as a result of the Delwyn Vriend case, to literally write sexual orientation into the prohibited grounds of discrimination, to add it onto the list. They had a group of quite right-wing thinkers in the back of their caucus who absolutely would not allow that to happen. And in the end, they compromised with them and put in a section that was something they really wanted: parental control. It was meant to degrade. It was meant to say, well, we might have to protect your rights here because it's written in, but we're just going to nail it to you that you are so awful, we won't let our kids, learn anything about you. And they did amend the language to make it narrower, but that's what it was really about.
You have to be vigilant. Just when you think you've got the housework done, and politics is like housework, you got to do it all over again. I wear this scarf. I wore it today because I've always worn it when I did my activist stuff with politicians, because they get confused. It's like, but you're a lesbian and you're wearing a lovely silk scarf and a silk skirt. How can that be? I just smile. And so, I don't wear it very much anymore, but it's been around for years and years. And so this morning I thought, well, I have to wear this. So I think one of the things that I try and do is be playful with things. It helps with the hurt. It helps with the sense of always wondering when the other shoe is going to drop.
There was very little activism in Edmonton, and there was much of a there were people going to clubs and stuff, but the sense was kind of, just stay below the radar and things would be okay. There were, people were arresting people every now and then, and there were some kinds of things like that, but, basically stay quiet. The bath raids in Edmonton, which ended up changing that dynamic extensively. With that was a whole sea change that took place, in my mind. Keep yourself below the radar, in fact, was not going to work. And that's what that really showed. The human rights stuff needed to be changed as well, so that gays and lesbians weren't discriminated against. And it spurred the development of the sports teams, the newspaper that came about, the church groups all became larger and more active. I think it really galvanized a lot of that.
If somebody tries to bully you for being gay or lesbian, if you cower, they'll do it again. If you consistently from a place of calmness are able to respond and say, it's not on, they will stop. Social change only comes from within the group. And it only comes from the people who have decided that I'm not putting up with this.
Discrimination hinders coming out, and coming out hinders discrimination. We teach people how to treat us. Give yourself permission to step up and step out and be the individual that you're truly meant to be.
I've always thought that the way that I can be the most important was by living a life out of the closet, living it proudly. So I don't feel like I need to dedicate myself to one cause or one battle, because my whole fucking life is that example. Which is, if you live your life for your own sort of forwarding your own cause and your own sort of respect and your demand for respect and the way that you treat other people with respect, that will ultimately be the statement that you make. When I was out of the closet on Help TV for 10 years, I didn't have to talk about queer rights. I'm on national television and I'm a gay man. Try and stop